Joe Rogan sounds the alarm on CBDCs. We have Jerome Powell beginning to sound like Kamala Harris up on the stand. And now we are seeing some insane predictions coming out for Bitcoin and XRP. This and all this and more on the blockchain basement.
Bum, 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 bum. You ready for this? I'm ready. Welcome.
If you're gonna screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What do you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
About to give the numbers out. And I was like, no, hang up the phone right now.
Or like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting?
400,000 to 600,000. The generational signals are now.
Level. So I don't even know if we're gonna get back below there. But if we do, that's kind of where we.
Hello. Welcome all to the blockchain basement. We're joined by a very special guest from kind of the Bit Squad in general, Tim. Coming down to the studio saying, hey, what's up, man?
Tim is running the show, actually. So if you can go ahead, lead us off, let us know what we're talking about.
Yeah, just let us know. We're going to get into it. I want to get into his story about how he got into crypto. It's a pretty cool story. Also, we got the chart guy himself from the BitLab Academy, Mr. Kelly Kellum on the couch, the Biscuit Jesus, and all of his chaotic scientific knowledge and card tricks playing next to me.
Not tricks.
They're not tricks?
Tricks are something Horde does for money.
Ooh, wow. Wow. He's here to derail us. But,
We're feeling saucy today, everybody.
Yeah.
So if you could just grab your popcorn and grab your lotion.
It's going to get weird.
Get to it.
It's going to get weird. But, crypto market is, pretty flat right now. 29,384 coming in for Bitcoin. Ethereum still at the 18.5 mark right there. Not bad. We got XRP holding 62 cents.
But how's Tether doing?
Tether is hopefully still $1, just under $1.
Oh, that's cool because it's now on Cardano.
Now on Cardano. Okay.
That's checking that everything's going well with it.
Okay.
Nothing weird happened.
Okay. That's good news. I like to see Cardano building out.
Yeah, Cardano also just launched the CBDC as well. The wrapped Cardano Bitcoin.
Yep, we covered that on the morning stream, and we covered it when it was coming.
A while ago.
We covered it when it was coming on the live stream, is what you remember. Okay. And then now it's actually happened.
Well, when it's coming, isn't it usually covering?
Well, covered and
scattered, covered, and smothered.
God, we shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
We should not do this. This is the worst show ever. So Cardano is at 29 cents right now. It's kind of looking tasty. I said I would go after it at 25 cents. We're kind of getting dangerously close.
That looks, just scroll down there back to that one-day chart.
Yeah.
And scroll down so we can see it since the camera's right over it. There's also, it looks like a pretty sort of obvious head and shoulders that's formed there as well. So I'd be watching out for that for potential
this little
downside.
guy right here?
Yeah.
That little guy?
Can you zoom out on the timeline? Just because I don't know where the last.
Let's go to the monthly.
I'll be dead honest. I don't really look at where support is with Cardano. Like
our faces
I'm
out here.
buying regardless.
Yeah, this is the monthly. Okay.
So your support's all the way down. I don't think you're seeing 25 cents again.
Well, the reason I'm looking is because of this little trough right here, and then just above it right here at 26 cents.
Yeah,
that's the reason I'm looking for the 25 cent mark here. And then I think that this original kind of hesitation before the big pop off in the last bull market was right around 25 cents to 30 cents. It's really anywhere in this area is probably not horrible to be looking at it, but I am just.
Anywhere in here at minimum, you're looking at a 10x.
Yeah.
I like to be very conservative where I think Cardano is going in the next bull run. I like to say $4. I know you have the maxis that are saying $10, but the market cap on that, I want to say is at least probably about $500 billion, which I'm not saying that's not obtainable, but that is higher than what Ethereum did in the last run.
Yeah, I'd be same thing.
I would say $4.
I think 4 on the low side.
So between anywhere from here to 40 cents, you're still 10xing.
Nothing to scoff at. Maybe it's not 100x, 1000x, ultra clickbait stuff, but it's there, it's developing, it's working hard. Hosky's got a good vision. So, I'm not going to be missing out on Cardano for the next bull market. I missed out on it when it was 2 cents. I faded it. Even though I did really well with a lot of the other cryptos I bought, just didn't get Cardano at 2 cents.
On the tabs, not that we have to talk about this now, but did you bring up basically the transfer of asset chart that I put in the chat?
Oh, I can pull that up
Yeah,
here.
we don't
pull
have to do it this second.
Yeah, I'll pull that up here in a minute. I think you would put it. Yeah, here it is right here. Let's bring this up. Let's talk about while we're on Cardano.
So this one's fun whenever people talk about centralization and things like this. If you blow this up, so say I want to send something to good old Drew here on Ethereum, it is going to go through a smart contract regardless. That is going to have the ability to do everything that's here. Primarily, the two scariest things to me are asset freezing and blacklisting. But it basically is going through a centralized control, a centralized contract. I did have the argument with Johnny earlier where he's like, well, no, you can do it in a closed loop and only touch certain nodes. And to me, I'm like, you mean centralizing further? Versus Cardano, you have the capability of literally going from point A to point B. Like, if that's not the point of decentralization, like, I don't understand what it is. But like, you look at Ethereum, it's like, which one of these two is more decentralized to you? I'll let you guys use your brains, and hopefully those synaptic gaps are correctly firing. But it's pretty easy to deduce.
I agree with
what
you,
want
BJ. One of the big, I don't want to call it an issue, but the perplexions, I guess you could say, going on in the blockchain ecosystem is this idea that everything in the crypto environment is decentralized, when in the far majority probably are less decentralized than people are aware of. So if that's part of your motif and your investing strategy, that leads back to the necessity to do proper due diligence and understand what you're investing in. It's not saying one is, I don't even want to lump it into better, better or worse. But if you are trying to invest in things because they're decentralized, only to find out that they're not, then it may be a good opportunity before the market starts running.
Well, like Albert over here says, EVMs have won. I'd be interested in what you mean by that. So EVMs in the sense that, like, again, they're centralized. They have fundamental flaws. One of the classic ones are the hacks that happen that people don't know how to explain. When you do switch to a proof of stake system within that node network, if everything's not the same exact computational power, you do have one of those nodes that will start authenticating invalid transactions, which, again, I don't see how that's winning. But back to what Kelly's saying, it's like, it's not about one being better than the other. Do you want something that's centralized and that potentially is going to get a lot more sovereign nations and things involved in it? That's probably going to be the EVM ones. If you prefer something like decentralization, it's not going to be that.
I think I realized who invented decentralization last night. It struck me. I think the South invented decentralization with guerrilla warfare. Decentralized violence. That's what.
Oh, my.
Yep.
Let's call it decentralized opposition.
Yeah, decentralized opposition. So, I mean, it's hard to get. It's an ugly thing if you really want to get it, right? Shout out to the chat. I forgot to bring up the chat. New type, never seen you before. Nice to see you. Ariel for life. Scotty Swing. Butts Mup Smurf. Wow, I got to get that one better. Manawak, excellent human being. What's that?
I didn't even see that.
Terrible. Yeah. Crimson Caravan Company. Deucey Does Crypto. Ninja Glock. Zach Spady. The Smiley Stuffs. Enso Mining. 300 Lifestyle. 200. Maybe a Band-Aid. He was making it rain memberships yesterday. He or she, who knows? I don't want to assume genders these days, right? But yeah, so that's just a little talk on Cardano. Now, what do we got going on here? I kind of want... All right, so we had Frankie on talking charts yesterday. This is all his squiggles. I want to hand this computer to Kelly because I really want to get your barometer on where the markets are going. I want your forecast, what you're thinking. I know you had taken some profits. I'm almost kind of in the same boat where you, where I took profits on altcoins and looking for good re-entry points here. So
yeah, I took some profits, but it was less about taking profits and more about what I'm about to show you. And I talked about this the other day on BitBoy Crypto, and that is the fact that if we look right here, on the chart, this giant sort of uptick right here was the fueled speculation from the spot ETFs from BlackRock. Look how, even with that biggest news event that we've ever seen in Bitcoin, with that stamp of approval from BlackRock, I mean, this is almost regionally, it's not an exact double top because this is higher, but regionally in terms of the percentage gain, especially look at the gap here between these two tops. I mean, this is, this is a 23% gain here. Okay, well, this top to this top, 2%. So regionally, this is a double top. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest news week in the history basically couldn't get us to go any higher.
And the SEC and the XRP news broke that same time frame.
So this was right here. This is this candle right here is the SEC summary judgment not being a security, which now we're seeing is under appeal. So if we had the biggest news week in history and the speculation could not even drive this above breaking this region, if we zoom out, I hate it when people have their mouse backwards. We could not break through this key zone right here.
Yeah.
And, we have, I think it's something like 930 days or something from the first time we bounced in this region over here all the way to where we're at now. Look at that, 936 days, 935 days. Mm-hmm. That the $32,000 region has been the equilibrium for the upside and then now the bear market downside that we have. Now, if we look at this, not even drawing any lines, if we just look at this with a very simple tool that is used broadly in a lot of assets using Elliott wave, we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. So you have your impulse up, retrace, impulse up, retrace, final impulse up. Typically after you have 5 waves, which is, 3 waves up, 2 waves down. Mm-hmm. Typically after this, pretty high hit rate, you tend to see an ABC correction following that, which would be something like this. Question is going to be, where is this C going to go? Mm-hmm. This is just using Elliott wave. If we take the Elliott wave off of it, we can also see I have several different reasons for why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Here we go. We can also see that this is rounding. So that's also showing a lack of momentum and follow through from the bulls. So there's a rounding nature. We're also getting over here, this Elliott wave suggesting that this may be a local top. The biggest news week in history could not get us over this hump. I think what's in store for us is this price action coming down and testing somewhere. And I don't know if we're going to break 25,000 because remember, this zone right here, if I do option H, that gives us a horizontal line. Mm-hmm. We can see rejection. Luna bounced just above this. We bounced right off of this right here. There's going to be a lot of liquidity in this zone right here. The question is going to be, are we going to scare the bejesus out of everybody that doesn't have a strategy? And that's none of you. None of you Bit Labbers, none of you Bit Squad, none of you basement dwellers. You all have a strategy. I'm confident. If not, let's get you a damn strategy, because if you don't have a strategy, when the price pulls back, you get frustrated. You go, damn it, it's going down. Oh my God, and you're frustrated.
Well, do you mind throwing
people with the strategy say it's going down? I have more opportunity to get in at a better level. Mm-hmm. Can I throw on a what?
A trend line going from the beginning of 2023 up through?
Yeah, so
because this is what's interesting is if you have everybody looking at this trend line and they're like, oh, if we break this, we're screwed. So it's interesting what you're talking about with everything after the Elliott waves into the ABC town, where it's like that would flush a lot of people out. Mm-hmm. Where in long term, I don't think it's negative in any way, shape, or form. It's a nice accumulation zone. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how that plays out, because we would break that literally trend line of the year.
And the last thing I want to look at here, if we look at a golden pocket in the zone, in reality, we could have price action come all the way back down here into the $22,000, and that would only satisfy that. We would feel bearish at the time. In hindsight, many months down the line, we'd be like, "Oh, this only just tested the golden pocket from this full move."
Is there a big volume profile down there?
Let me see.
God, that'd be so hot for entry points on altcoins.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a high likelihood we're going to test in this somewhere in this circle. Maybe bouncing on top of this if we're holding on to a lot of the bullish sentiment because we know institutions are coming. But it wouldn't be far-fetched for me to see price action come down and tap this liquidity with a wick, like let's say on a 3-day or a weekly basis, having a wick below this low, but the candle body still maintaining above $25,000. Yep. So there would be a lot of liquidity here to set up a lot of shorts that ultimately would then be a launching point like this. Why would shorts be a launching point? Because if you have a ton of open interest, a ton of people trading on derivatives, futures, leverage, margin, all this sort of stuff, betting short, and then you get the markets to push it just a little bit past, tapping those liquidation zones, then you get a massive short squeeze that then could ultimately, this could be the best spring that we could ever see. If we're not aware of these opportunities, then we see this, oh my God, the bull market failed. This is all this not stupid gibberish, speaking childishly. No. price is going to do whatever the hell it wants to do. And if you don't have a strategy, all you're doing in the market is donating your money to people with better strategies. So get a strategy and know if this comes down, it's only setting up for a more bullish, healthy setup in the actual bull run when it starts.
Where you have that C, where is that roughly? Like month wise? It's like September.
Yeah, end of September. I would think that it'd be somewhere in this zone over here.
Because charts, regardless, I mean, I know I've brought this up before that I feel like because of the ETFs and everything else, that this is going to be a spot where institutions, everybody else, are going to try to take in their unrealized losses before the pre-bull run of next year and then the actual bull run of 2025. So all these narratives do line up. You fake them out with the overall trend. You do exactly what Kelly is saying here.
So let's see.
You set up to pack your bags.
Yep.
And then you're holding for over a year, so you're outside of capital gains. And
right there
else.
is when the political ads start too.
Yeah.
Right there is where at that C point.
So these two vertical lines that I just drew, this is essentially where we're at. This is on a 3-day chart. So think of this actually on the 13th this is actually right, the 11th. So tomorrow in the afternoon or Monday, I think it's more likely to be tomorrow. More likely than not, the odds are in the favor of a delay in the ARK Invest ETF. Okay. Then the next thing coming up is what's that going to do to remember all this huge speculation we had here, that the speculation of this being good couldn't take us over this gap. Couldn't take us over this hump at 32,000. And now we're going to start getting these because there's 45 days, 45-day window from when these ETF applications hit the Federal Registrar for them to either have a delay or approval. I don't think approvals are coming probably until sometime towards the very end of the year, or more likely sometime into January.
Well, where would the 6-month mark be? Because
well, hold on one sec. And then this next line right here. So this is, I don't think we're going to have some, all of a sudden some amazing August, because we also have this looming deadlines, Friday, September 1st, and then September 2nd is a Saturday. So this means both decisions will probably be on Friday, September 1st. Bitwise and BlackRock ETF, their delay or decision is going to be around this time too. Okay, that's taking all the wind out of the sails. This doesn't mean that there's no hope for the ETFs. It means that there's more likely than not we're going to get these stair-step delays until ultimately, like Kathy Wood says, we'll likely get a grouping of approvals, maybe not on the same day, but over the course of a week. We'll probably get several approvals at once when they come sometime January, February, in that time frame, or just a mass not decline, what's it called? Denial.
Yeah.
Well, the 6 months, because a lot of the gold ETFs took roughly 6 months for them to actually happen. So that February line would roughly be with what you're saying, about 6 months, correct?
What's 6 months? 6 times 30, 180?
Yeah.
So right about here. So that's December.
Yep.
Okay. I don't think they're going to get denied in general, but I do think the delay is likely.
Also, on a side note, Alex Rod saying that dude with the long hair said ADA only hit $4. Dude should be removed. First off, you should open up your ears. I said conservatively, I'm basing numbers off of that. I genuinely think it's probably in the $7 range. I think people who say $10, it's a little bit too high. But yeah, I literally am a node operator. I'm very bullish on ADA, but it is also a point where it's like you need to be conservative in certain senses. Me being conservative is still a 10x, which is phenomenal. So,
and nobody's mad at you if you say 4 and it goes to 7. But if you say 10 and it goes to 4, it's like it's like So that's just a product of us having a microphone.
Maybe listen.
There's some other negative headwinds coming too that we'll be getting into later on in the show. But if these things do happen, I have been waiting to get. Obviously, I'm going to be reaccumulating Cardano, no doubt. But I have been watching Caspa for quite a while, and I really want this naughty little DAG to come back down.
Didn't it go rip-roaring recently?
It has been on an absolute tear.
Like over 100% rip-roar? I thought I saw something when I was in Barcelona where it was...
Over the month, it's up 85%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, and on the year, this is 6,000%, right? So I just like the DAG niche, kind of what they're doing with metagraphs and things like that. I think it's going to have its own little kind of narrative-driven interest, and it might be grabbed by certain institutions that want that type of tech. But again, it's all just about trying to innovate, trying to grab your piece of the pie. I mean, Ethereum has really locked up a lot of the larger institutions. But I think there's still room for things like Cardano or Caspa. Another one that I'm waiting for a good entry point here is one that, I'm kicking myself because I recommended it right as I was taking profits, rightfully so, on other projects. So I just recommended it quite a while ago because it's cooked into a lot of big money players out of Singapore, overlap with a lot of just worldly money, big old money, and it is XDC. If you follow Crucial Crypto, you would have gotten this call right about here. And XDC has absolutely done some dirty work since then. Not too much though in retrospect, because if you look at that,
looks like a giant bull flag too.
Yeah, I know. It's
Bull
just
pennant.
just calm down, daddy, chill.
Dumb question: is there a difference between a bull flag and bull pennant?
Yeah, I mean, so when I was setting up the courses, the specific lesson on bull flags and pennants and bear flags and pennants in BitLab Academy, I did them in one lesson because the targets on them will be the same. But I would argue that if you have a bull flag that has like a descending channel, for instance, that is actually more bullish than if you have a bull flag that has a pennant that's angled upwards. Just because the nature of, you have triangles within the pennant and what direction the triangle is pointing can lend to slight variations in the percentages, but it's close enough that I look at flags, pennants, all basically the same.
Yeah. So those are what I'm watching for. If we do end up seeing what we're planning to see, and obviously I'll be moving into these projects regardless. If we don't get a big pullback and we still just breach 32K on Bitcoin, that's my signal as well. That's my upside kind of signal. We have some pretty chaotic, what do you call them, predictions coming. So we had this story, and I just wanted to highlight this. I mean, I don't count it out like a broken clock is right twice a day. So don't get me wrong. When I talk about this is probably not happening, but Bitcoin set to explode by over 130% before the year end of 2023, predicts widely followed trader, but there's a catch. So
130% from now or from the beginning of the year?
I think that's what he's.
Yeah,
that's what he's talking about.
Drastic difference.
Yes.
Be like an extra 30% from here. I can see that.
Yeah,
130% from here. That's that means you're tapping the near all-time high levels.
It's a little much. I mean, Credible Crypto tells his 343,000 Twitter followers that he expects Bitcoin to surge to a price of over $70,000 within this year. That did happen within this year. My God, the bull market would be absolutely insane. But we got to keep a level head on our shoulders here.
What's the catch? Is it ETF approval?
What's the catch? Let's see here. So according to Credible Crypto, Bitcoin could, however, trade in a range before the major rally he expects to kick off. We've got that strength, and our green zone held around 29K. That may very well have been our bottom. That being said, this move up so far still looks corrective, and we have sharp rejection on lower time frames, so do not be surprised if we chop around for a bit longer before a mega move up starts. Don't lose sight of the big picture here, and don't flip bearish if we move down a bit from here either. Anything above $25,000 is a gift. So after rallying the past November 2021, all-time high slightly above 69K, the analyst says that he expects Bitcoin to meet that first resistance at a price of over 100K. So, and obviously this is an accurate statement. When we get near or around 100K, that is a number that a lot of people have in their mind as far as a take profit level. I can tell you that you can take that to the bank. So,
especially with, it was almost, I won't say unanimous, but it was probably 9-1 within the space of expectations of at least hitting 100,000 last cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think even if we have very strong velocity and momentum and volume going up into $100,000, I'm going to be very skeptical and be taking, I'll be taking some profits for sure and not minding if it shoots past that. I'd rather hedge myself a little bit.
100%. And I know, like, if it hits 100K, I mean, that's the price target I've had for years, few cycles now. So, I can get, I mean, it's a psychological number in my mind as well. Don't expect to see $130,000 before the year's end though. I don't think that that's going to be happening. You got to be prepared to not see the market really, really start to kick off until we pass the Bitcoin halving. That's just if history rhymes, which it usually does. That's likely what's going to be going on. We touched this story about BlackRock versus Bitcoin maxis this morning on the live stream. I just want to touch on it. Is Bitcoin money or is it a store of value? So regardless of one's own perspective on whether Bitcoin is a financial asset.
So aren't we supposed to say por qué no los dos?
¿Por qué no los dos? Listen, I got a D in Spanish.
Why not, bro? Why not both?
Why not both? That's what DZ said this morning. Why not both? Oh. And everyone's got a different situation, right? So some people are trying to house a lot of money. Some people just want freedom to transact without being blacklisted by their tyrannical governments.
I think also we have to acknowledge the fact we're doing it ourselves, even though we're in the ecosystem within this niche, that Bitcoin is different. It's not a store of value. It's not a currency. It's a little bit of both, depending on how you as an individual want to utilize it. You can store value on it and store it over time, better than any other way we've been able to in the history of humanity. However, you can also instantly transact it to buy stuff, use a Lightning network, trade.
A more amorphous fiscal tool.
Yeah, it's a little bit ambiguous.
Dude, Dave Digital in the chat. I always want to make him a mod every time I see him.
We should do it.
Dude, let's have a battle.
We should do it.
Can we do it? Can we have a battle? Everybody watching right now, we're going to have a battle with Nick. Anytime we're on, Dave Digital is a mod, and we'll see how long it takes for Nick to kick him off.
I saw a question earlier in the chat too about a fellow was looking at transferring out of Ethereum and into Quant. I'm not sure if that question was relevant to this moment in time exactly right now. I will say that I think Quant is going to be a really strong performing asset in the next bull run. But for me personally, I would be waiting for what we just talked about on the overall Bitcoin chart to play out. Either breach that 32 mark in my mind, or we go back down to that 25 level and then start the party from there. I would, and I am currently more insulated to Bitcoin and then Ethereum after that, to be able to move back into those asset classes of altcoins, which I don't really consider Ethereum an altcoin anymore. But I don't discount the price action that these smaller projects can have, because that's really what made some amazing gains in the last bull market. And at the time, last bull market, I did consider Ethereum more of an altcoin, felt much more comfortable just taking all the profits out of that and did amazing. Bag was started with a little, took out a lot, and still have a ton. So just keep that in mind. We're a little
Oh, Dave still. Digital just made OG status also.
What? Oh, we got to make him a mod.
Oh, yeah.
Owen, come on. What are you doing over there,
can you make Dave Digital a mod?
Unbelievable.
Come on, multitask.
This is all Owen's fault.
Can we sidetrack just for a second? Because I feel like we've had our boy Tim sitting here the whole time. We haven't been able to engage with him. I'd like to ask you, we're over here talking about, we forget this sometimes, that the only aspect of the aspects of Bitcoin and crypto broadly it's not just an asset to trade to make money. Mm-hmm. We do that, of course, because we want to make money on it, but there's other aspects and other avenues that people can utilize to participate in the space. So Tim, what's your story? How'd you get involved in crypto, and how the hell are you making money on crypto right now?
All right. So I was doing this charity event one day and collecting money on the street, and walking up and down the street, there was nothing to do.
That's called panhandling,
yes,
dude.
I was.
It's boot handling.
Yeah. So walking up and down the street, super bored. So I was like, I'm going to throw something on YouTube. So I'm just letting the algorithm play out. And all of a sudden, a BitBoy video hits my phone. I listen to it. I get super interested in it. He's talking about making all this money. He's talking about mining crypto. And I heard that, and I wanted to dig deeper and deeper into that. So I did. Fast forward a couple months later, I go out, I buy over 40 graphics cards and start mining Ethereum for the next, whatever it was, 2 years before it went to proof of stake. And then I just recently sold all those graphics cards and bought a couple of ASICs, and I'm just doing that.
Moving on up.
Yeah.
Love that story.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
do it all out of my home though. It's
Yeah?
yeah, it's fun
Okay.
to just tinker around, keeps you busy.
You're
and-
keeping the network alive, man.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, saves on heat where
do
you're
you
located, too.
It
rotate?
does.
Do you rotate a lot through different assets, or have you found any seasonalities, or are you?
Well,
I
he
mean,
just
are,
said
are
he
you are you competing on the Bitcoin mining? Or are you over there mining Raven
Well, he
coin
said
and
he has
obscure
ASICs,
stuff?
Yeah.
So
I know,
Uh,
but I'm asking so everybody.
So when
They
I
don't-
was doing the
they don't-
graphics cards, I did do a lot of spec mining at the end, different Raven coin, things like that. And I held on to all that stuff. Hopefully one day it does go back up. Right now, the ASICs, I don't really want to admit this, but I'm using NiceHash for a lot of them because it's the most profitable thing right now with their whole little gambling scheme they have going on where you can try to buy blocks. It's just the most profitable spot right now. So
Gotcha. Shout out to Zayas for OG status and Dave Digital. Obviously, we're trying to coax Owen into turning you into a mod, but
you know how?
I don't know if he does know how.
He's-
Do you know how to do that?
He's watching a YouTube
He's-
video
he's-
trying to
You
figure out how
are
to.
unbelievable.
He's Googling it.
working
Hey,
on
but
it.
you
Live
know what?
research.
I like that stick to itiveness. If you don't know how to
Yeah.
do something, I run an audio business in New York, and it somehow the people at the building thought I was an AV, like a corporate AV professional. And I can't tell you how many times I'd be in the middle of a meeting with, like, I'm talking Fortune 500 company or Deepak Chopra or, and they're like, oh, we need this. I'm like, yeah, okay. And I'd be in the bathroom on my phone, like, what the f- are they talking about? Oh, and I come out. Oh, we're so glad we have you. You just, if your mind, remember, if you don't know how to do something, you're on the internet. Google it, man. Google it.
Yeah. And I was thinking about how you found BitBoy or Ben. I remember
Grindr.
years and years ago,
Grindr.
people were talking trash about Ben in other crypto shows. And I was like, why are they so obsessed with this guy? Why do they keep bringing this guy up? So I went and watched him. Absolutely loved him. So love what Ben does. I know he's a very controversial figure. Some people can't stand him. I think he's amazing. I think that strong, outspoken personalities like Ben are really necessary in our space to wake people the hell up, because it takes a little bit of shaking sometimes to get them to realize that they're being rugged slowly by their fiat dollar as an ice would melt through your fingers in the heat. So, yeah. And on this BlackRock thing, the Bitcoin spot ETF, we had an interesting question in the chat. Let's ask the question, what is the next crypto to get a spot ETF after Bitcoin? Litecoin, Bitcoin Hash, or XRP?
Ethereum for how
Ethereum.
much it's centralized and controlled by the institutions already.
Yeah.
Why would you not?
The only argument I would push back against that is they're still slow playing the futures ETF for Ethereum.
They are.
But and as much as I hate to say this, because I'm not a fan of Bitcoin Cash,
Yeah.
I think Bitcoin Cash does have a possibility of kind of surprising some people because of its being tied in with the new EDX exchange, the institutional. Dave Digital mod. Everybody throw a one in chat for Dave Digital being a mod.
Who wants to go to timeout?
All right. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Nick can't blame us.
Hey, yield
None
the power.
of us did it.
Yield the power well, my friend.
Love it. Oh, Joe Cop. Welcome to OG Stats. But yeah, I think it's
No
going to be ETH.
itching.
I think it's going to be ETH after Bitcoin. I'll just say that.
But
But
that's the most logical one.
after that, I think XRP.
Dash.
I think XRP would be, because XRP is going to be the most regulated crypto on earth after this.
I can see that as well.
I think that's what's going to happen. I know that, some people get a little extra worked up when they think about XRP. They're just like, it's going to swallow the world and we just get everything and nothing else goes to any of these other chains. We're going to tokenize all, physical assets. It's already done. It's already been done
But
across
can
the
you
world.
even do NFTs on XRP? Because I remember
Pretty sure you
looking
can.
this up. Oh,
I'm pretty sure you can. I didn't open. We got to get with Ragsy to get with her to see how those are going. Because didn't she try to release them on there?
I'm not sure. I just remember looking it up a while ago when we were trying to do it and going through like all the forums and the XRPL, and it's like they weren't actually NFTs.
They weren't actually
Not
NFTs?
that NFTs are truly NFTs because they're not on chain, but like it was even more something. Let me try to internet
Yeah,
this.
I mean, you can get really in the weeds on NFTs and see how many of them rely on AWS to exist just in general.
That goes
right?
back to this whole conversation earlier about this facade of decentralization. I remember an article came out about a year ago, and it was I think it was broadly about the Ethereum ecosystem, not just Ethereum, but a lot of the coins on there. that this whole idea of it even being decentralized in any capacity was just a farce because it was all centralized on Amazon web servers. So,
yeah, I mean, it gets deep. If you want to really talk about what's centralized and what's not, that's why I like to always bring up guerrilla warfare because, that's my best example of it. This is an interesting take from Quinton048.eth. Processed transactions in 2022 for Bitcoin, and it is the king. So $8.2 trillion in transactions went through Bitcoin.
This is actually a pretty surprising metric. I would not have guessed that.
Yeah. Visa.
Because of how much, point of sale transactions happen on. That's pretty crazy.
Absolutely. MasterCard, 2.5 trill. So Bitcoin outpacing the big dogs. If you isolate them now.
Why isn't American Express in there?
I'm guessing it's probably quite a bit less, but I would.
Well, there's a reason it's not in there. I agree, but I would love why that isn't in there.
And then this guy, because
nobody uses MasterCard, so that number being low.
The metric I think this metric is important because when you have talking points with somebody like Warren Buffett or somebody else in the very entrenched in the traditional finance ecosystem, or take that word out. Very against crypto, ignorantly against crypto. It doesn't have value. What's the value? Okay, ask them. Does Visa have value? Yes. Okay, Bitcoin has processed more transactions annually than Visa.
And no, Visa did 11.6 trill. So Visa is still winning, but it is starting to outpace some of the other. So this is Visa's 2022 right here is 11.6. So it's not fully beating all of them down, but it is definitely getting its arms in the mix, which is something I love to see because all it takes is for these massive institutions to see that Bitcoin's taken a slice of the pie, and that's enough for them to dip their toenails of an elephant into the room where we are ants. And as we experience that inflow of this real institutional money, of derivatives, all these things that are built into our modern monetary theory, it's going to be very explosive for the crypto space in general because, we've only touched the surface. This is only the tip of the iceberg of what we've done so far. So keep that in mind as you see these numbers and all this stuff going up and down. Blockchain technology is probably as disruptive of a technology as the vehicle was when it was first introduced, in my opinion, early on in the century. What you got?
Zayas, great point. Says out of those 6 to 2.5 trillion, probably who knows what the metric is, but a substantial amount is going to be credit, whereas 8 trillion of the Bitcoin is pure debit or actual cash value that you're sending.
Yeah.
So there's an interesting, almost
point.
Exponential value if you think about that.
Absolutely. Love it. Well, I've been talking about some of the headwinds, some of the potential problems that the world economy's looking at here. We had this from TED Talks Macro. Usually most of his threads are way too long, so I don't try to spill those on you guys. But
little TLDR.
Yeah, I mean, my God, they go on, and I bored people to death with bonds. So China's economy has fallen into deflationary territory as headline CPI is now negative for the first time since early 2021. Recent Chinese data has been dire. I'd expect the People's Bank of China to step in once again and ramp up liquidity efforts to support the economy, which has struggled since abandoning their zero COVID policy late last year. And this is just a quick graph showing such an event. Now, looking at this, kind of looks like everyone's pretty much in tune with each other. Looks like Japan and then China's really the main outlier here. Japan, Eurozone, US, UK, they're actually seeming to keep their heads up above water a little bit better than China. China has many other things going on wrong in their internal society, though. I keep bringing this up, but it's not a data or a statistic point that the status can slap on the wall and say it's real. But they're experiencing something called Bailan, which means that people in the younger generation are refusing to take part in the...
I like that you paused your vocals the second you wanted to crack rather than covering it. You're like, Baba.
You like that? Yeah. I mean, it felt right. So Bailan is basically where the younger generation is refusing to take part in the economy. It's their only way to dissent against a government that has total control and monopoly on, God, I keep wanting to say violence. Their government has a monopoly on power and control over the people. So that's what happens when you give up your hard-earned goods and you live under a socialist regime for extended periods of time. So expect that pain to be coming out of China. And yes, in America, we are still beholden to their market as well. We're still the massive consumption hub of the world. So yes, in our stores, the prices of goods will continue to rise if their situation continues to spiral downwards. Welcome to OG Status. We had a lot of OG Status people today. Fred Soamino. Hopefully I didn't slaughter the name. Welcome. I've seen you in the chat before and glad you made it into OG Status. I do believe on the NFT, we are running out of time. We're almost at 15,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. In our Discord, I do believe that we have the NFT link posted in the main channel. If not, I will make sure that it's done and put up a message to make sure it gets done. So we are chasing that down. Make sure you guys get that information before we pass the 15K threshold. TJ might get feisty with what we do with the NFT holders in a good way. So yeah.
Bye-bye GTR.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding. That is complete speculation and trolling.
This GTR is sick. I was able to drive it just around the building one time, and dude, that thing is just amazing. I built cars in high school. I built a 3000 GT VR4 and a 300ZX twin turbo. That was an absolute dirty bird with T-tops. And man, driving that GTR just for a minute really reminded me of the good old days in high school. Stopped doing it though. I drive like a grandma now. But I definitely do know how to drive fast when the time is necessary. So on inflation, while we're on this subject, wanted to bring up this video. I actually think I'm going to play this video. I'll unmute my computer here for you, Owen. This is a goodie. So this is Jerome Powell explaining away why is 2% inflation your target. Let's hear what he says.
The general public, for those working families of people, why 2%? Why is getting it to 2% so important?
So that has become the globally agreed, essentially all major central banks target 2% inflation in one form or another.
How does that help my Nevada families? How does that help people in Nevada?
I'll tell you how it does. And it's I guess it's obviously not, it's not obvious how that is, but 2% inflation, to have people believe that inflation is going to go back to 2% really anchors inflation there, because the evidence is and the modern belief is that people's expectations about inflation actually have an effect on inflation. If you expect inflation to go up 5%, then it will. If everyone kind of expects that, because that's what businesses and households will be expecting, and it'll kind of happen because they expect it. So
what is he?
That wasn't as irrational as people are.
I mean, it's an arbitrary number, though.
It is an arbitrary number.
It's an arbitrary number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, he did kind of go around it, but it's just like that is factual. Similar. Yeah. Everyone expected Bitcoin to go over 100K. Everyone waited. It didn't happen. That's where the narrative was. So, like, once you get the status quo and basically the hive mind, if you are believing something, you'll go towards that. Now, granted, that still doesn't back up why it's 2%. Mm-hmm. You did completely dodge.
I mean,
that.
all he said was all central banks agree that that's I mean, I think they need to have a line in the sand to target. But to your point, BJ, excellent point, because I truly believe 64,000 was probably the more reasonable top, even though 68, 69 was higher.
Nice. And it probably was the real top.
Because people were so fixed, I mean, I can't tell, myself included, there are so many different analysts out there, highly respected people that have been in markets for 20 years, wrapped in the Bitcoin narrative and the Bitcoin hope, especially once we broke past 60,000. Oh yeah, you're looking at metrics and at fib extensions and it's like it's gonna hit 100K. And if you look at all the on-chain metrics, if you look at the holders, if you look at the composition of short-term versus long-term versus all these different metrics that you can utilize to really understand the composition of who's holding where and why, you could see that at 64,000 when China had the Bitcoin mining ban, it sucked a lot of wind out of the market for the short-term holders that were the hype cycle buyers leading up to 64K. But everybody that had any conviction in the market held. And so the second run up to 68, 69 and you could see it on the charts, was not fueled by any new money coming into the market. It was fueled by lack of sellers. And that lack of selling goes directly to what BJ was just saying about the conviction that people had unanimously, essentially, about the market at least approaching $100,000.
That lack of sellers is probably tied to the inflation level too, right? Because inflation was starting to peak its head. People were like, "Oh no, this is the hyperinflation, hyper Bitcoinization moment," right? And so they had found that second wind where their conviction was reinstituted. DZ made a good point on that too.
When he says 2%, so a lot of people say, like when Nick talks about, you know, the fourth turning and things like that, it's we are at the end of a 40-year fiscal cycle. So if you look at like 1940 to 1980, how things were, and then from 1980 to now, we're at the end of that. Basically, at the beginning of 1980, after everything that happened in the 70s, where inflation was high. I'm sorry, the interest rates were very high, and I guess inflation was as well, and then it tapered all the way down. So 2020 was probably the lowest those are going to be. If that holds true, for us to get to that 2%, is that going to be 40 years from now? Because right now, interest rates are the lowest they're going to be.
Yeah, early 80s, it was up in like, it was like 18, 20%.
It was 18%.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Your houses were way cheaper and you made way more money.
Yeah. The other aspect of the 2% we have to remember is banks, this may be a little speculation, but I can't see how it could be wrong. Governments like the ability to take debt so they can fund things, and also they want the ability to service that debt in an easy way because they do control. This is why Bitcoin's such a great alternative to the fiat system. If they have a 2% inflation, then they have a sort of buffer zone of how much they can be expected and allowed to be continually printing every year, because that's essentially where that inflation is really, really piping in. And the crazy thing is, you look at the metrics over the last 4 years, and it's like, if anybody doesn't see that there's a problem that not only is brewing, but the fire is in the walls right now. It's not like in Lahaina where you have the entire cities burned down. Well, in order for that to happen, the wind blew a power line down. The power line then started a fire, and then wind blew that fire. Well, the power line has already hit the grass in our economy, and we're trying to say, no, guys, there's no fire. Let's go to the beach. That's essentially the state of what everybody's doing right now.
Yeah. We have another thing going on with OPEC and our gas consumption. Basically, OPEC is looking to lessen its production of oil. We are morons here in this country and turned off the Keystone Pipeline immediately in 2020. So we have also cut our own knees off on our own production. Well, I mean, apparently,
I'm not really sure
apparently half the country voted for it, right? I mean, that's the consensus, right? I mean, apparently YouTube is okay if I dissent against this, but you get the level of sarcasm. It's an absolute farce, and we are being strangled by a colostomy bag right now from the commander-in-chief. So just kink shame to the bank. Don't kink shame. No kink shaming. Okay, none of that. And really, if they wanted to be serious about it, they'd say, okay, we need to replumb the financial system. We need to have hard goods backing our dollar. We're going to be fiscally responsible from here on forward. That's not going to happen because we are too far down the road. So this is going to be solved with a conflict between the ones that are threatening. That's going to be Russia and China. So you can take that to the bank, and you'll see Taiwan soon. So Microsoft is going to explore digital payments and central bank digital currencies, it looks like. This is news right on the heels of PayPal moving into their stablecoin issuance, which obviously Maxine Waters and other pundits from the federal government are not happy at all with. Brought that up yesterday, that this is probably going to infuriate a section of the old guard of the government in the form of a private company printing currency into the circulation of society. So
isn't that exactly what happens with the Federal Reserve?
Yeah, but they want to be the only ones doing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean,
we already have a private company doing that.
They want to stay in control of that. So and it's always been my opinion, you keep this in mind, that a government cannot govern if they are beholden to a central bank. So it's not a government, it's a bank that you live within and pay. So I saw this, found it kind of interesting, but this is a situation where maybe these companies know on the back end that a actual shift into, either a Bitcoin or a blockchain-backed assets is coming in the future, and they're getting ahead of the curve by developing these systems and understanding how they work before it actually comes here, so they're not left behind in the dust.
Fin Tradfi says, wax on, wax off. Wax isn't like Solana. Just saying.
Oh my God. We should have it this day in crypto every time Solana halted his blockchain to arbitrage.
Every
You know what I
third
mean?
day.
Yeah.
I mean, well, everyone asks like, what's the problem with Solana and all this stuff. It's like, okay, I get it. You have a memory span that lasts like beep, that long. But
Well, people want to say that there's no problem with an asset that they hold, but then talk shit about an asset because they don't hold it.
yeah,
That's essentially
That's lowbrow
that's the
stuff.
culture of crypto right now.
don't be that guy or gal. Don't be that guy or gal. That's low T. That's low T stuff. But you know, we have a lot of people talking about this XRP SEC appeal decision, breaking SEC appeals Ripple decision in the court case.
Wait, the appeal already happened?
No, it didn't already happen. They're planning
I was
to.
like, there's no way that happened that quickly.
They've submitted a letter of intent to appeal against Judge Torres' summary judgment in the SEC and Ripple case on July 13th. In a letter to Judge Annalisa Torres, the SEC indicated its intent to file an appeal under 28 USC 129B based on two adverse liability determinations contained in a July 13th, 2023 decision. Now, it was a big decision. There's still a lot of stance that XRP itself is not a security, but this will be called into question the other things that are involved with the case. So the ruling...
Well, aren't there two different cases?
Oh, they're going after, well, we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
So there's a case against XRP itself being a security, and then all of the, you know, potential ICOs and things like that happen. So the ruling...
But like I've been saying, the case wasn't over. What? You are so needy.
He is so
The
needy.
case definitely was not over. I mean, most people hopefully actually saw that
We
the
called
appeal
it.
was
We
gonna
knew
happen.
that they
Like,
were
it was
going to fight
blatantly
it.
obvious.
We
But
knew
yeah, I
it.
do want to discuss what the other case
Yeah.
is.
And so the ruling, which gave a summary judgment to the defendant Ripple Labs, concerned allegations of unregistered securities sales. The SEC contested that the court's conclusion, particularly those related to Ripple's scheduled offerings and sales and other distributions in exchange for monetary considerations. The SEC erroneously ruled that these proceedings were a landmark. SEC versus W.J. Howie Company argues that it was deemed not to involve the offer or sale securities in the context of the lawsuit. He argued that a provisional appeal and subsequent clarification of legal standards would facilitate the resolution phase and potentially avoid the need for two separate hearings. In addition, the SEC expressed concern that the resolution of the case could be delayed for years if no appeal is filed. So, yes, they're cutting hairs here. They're trying to find how they can keep this train going. And in my opinion, I think this is all just a clown show. I think that it's an absolute arbitrage on the human psyche to keep people out of not only crypto, but particularly XRP. I do think that XRP has a strong use case in international remittance payments. There is a place for that. It's not going to take over everything. I don't believe that XRP is going to hit $22,000 a coin. If it does take over the derivatives market, which, if you hear someone on YouTube saying XRP is going to take over the derivatives market, you need to walk the other way because that's not the reality of the situation.
Yeah, if XRP hit Bitcoin's market cap, current market cap, it's only worth like $11, by the way.
Yeah.
Just so people know.
Yeah. I mean, it's
same as when people were saying, I'm holding my SHIB till it goes to $1. Mm-hmm. Really? You're holding it till it's a over $250 trillion market cap?
Or inflation is that bad?
Yeah.
Well, they're driven by they're driven by headlines. That's why you come here. Ooh, that's a close one. They're driven by headlines, and if people aren't being intellectually honest, if they're just farming for engagement and things like that, they'll use big fancy numbers to get people in the door.
But Tim, I want to throw it to Tim.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All this news.
Yeah.
As I don't want to call you a spectator because you're participating at a little bit more entrenched level with the mining and stuff. What are you making of right now? What's your general disposition, your general sort of thought about your feeling about the markets right now?
I think that everything's building up to be a big year next year. I think we were talking about that 100K level being super hard to get through. I think the spot Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF getting approved, and possibly an actual settlement in this XRP case we're going to need something to pop off at the right time to get us over that 100K hump. Mm-hmm. If it's all just kind of boring news after that, if it all hits at once, I don't know what it needs to hit in, but it needs to take a certain order that we get over that 100K.
100%. This story I was going to get into, it's basically it's a nod to the hyperbole that's out there right now in the news. Now, let's just get this clear. I do hold XRP, and I do expect to see, somewhere between $5 to potentially even $15 per coin in this next bull market. I do expect to see that. But seeing something like this, XRP rally projection to $1,896 per coin ignites a community response amid Ripple derivatives plans. The XRP community
are they burning 70% of the supply?
They have to do more than that. The XRP community has been excitedly buzzing following the reports that Ripple has joined the International Swaps and Derivatives Association. Now, ISDA big deal. But it's not everything. You see that?
No, I wish I didn't.
The move has sparked discussions about Ripple's entry into the derivatives market and implications for the price of XRP. This is Digital Perspectives. I like this guy. I follow him every now and again. Now that Ripple's joined ISDA, take a look at the possibilities for XRP. Now, this is the stuff where you got to be careful, okay?
So do we need to discuss the difference between possible
and probable? Right. 100%. Not probable. So, even though I follow his stuff, you got to keep a level head. I keep clicking into his stuff.
Yeah, Free Kip says, why is that not something that could be possible? Yeah, it could be possible. If we are in a limitless universe, it is in the realm of feasibility.
This is why it's so important. I remember the days back when I first started trading, and it was before crypto. This is like 2012. And
Pokemon cards.
I just wish I was trading penny stocks and stuff. I was like, man, I should have been trading crypto back then. But no, the lack of awareness and lack of knowledge that we starve ourselves of the potential growth of portfolio and just stack the odds in favor of taking losses by not understanding the most basic principles in investing. For instance, when you're looking at, right now we're talking about potential price of some ridiculous number for XRP. But in reality, when I see people all the time that come in the space, well, I don't want to get Bitcoin because Bitcoin is expensive and Cardano is 30 cents. And I'm not saying Cardano's not a good project, but comparing the prices of two different assets with two different token supply amounts and inflation rates, the price is literally one of the last things you look at when you're looking at the investment potential of an asset. You're looking at the fundamentals, the tokenomics, pumpamentals, depending on how big or small the market cap is, the fundamental growth and adoption rates and transaction fees and all this stuff that most people, they say that's boring. They don't know how to do it. They just want to look at a chart and say number go up. It doesn't work like that. If you do that, all you're going to do is help other people's profits, other people's portfolios go up because you're not dancing with the basic knowledge of what you need to be in that market.
Yeah. I mean, it would take $100 trillion to get there. So,
which is how much larger than the gold market?
That's
about
10 times. That's 10 times the size of the gold market. The gold market's had quite a while to be utilized as store of value or use, but it's got a different use case of being an international settlements layer. But you have to keep in mind within this, there's a gigantic ecosystem of these types of projects out there, and there's different needs and different use cases for every country, every bank. It's a big wide world out there, right? You have to not get so tunnel vision, have a piece, have exposure to it. What if it did go? Even though I don't believe it does, I hold it, right? Just because I have a bullish mindset about what its tech is. I know it's JavaScript, VJ, so don't go nuts on me, okay? But it's going to be a use case for basically massive banks moving money across the world, and it will take a chunk of the pie, and it will be one of the most, if not the most regulated cryptocurrency on earth very soon. So you have to keep these things in mind. Rome wasn't built in a day, and you got to crawl before you can walk, okay? So just keep a level head on your shoulders as we look at what types of assets have the biggest potential. Jeremy Hogan had a note on this, and the SEC continues to make questionable decisions, requesting interlocutory appeal. Is that how you say that?
What?
This word?
Interlocutory.
Okay. That's a $100 word. Note that it is not appealing whether XRP itself is a security, just its losses on the programmatic and individual sales issues. So important to keep in mind. And let's see what else we got here. So, this is great. Post Malone on Joe Rogan sounding the alarm on CBDCs. Now, I wanted to, this interview meant a lot to me. I definitely listened to Joe Rogan when he had his first kind of up and come in his podcast. I don't think
before or after Post Malone bought the One Ring.
This was after, I believe. I think this was after. You know, I'm not going to play this, Owen, because they curse quite a bit, and I like to keep it as family friendly as I can. But basically, what this is saying is Joe Rogan is basically noting that it is game over if we allow governments to have absolute total dominance over our social credit scores, which they are being implemented in China, and these things will continue to expand. These ESG ratings, how much carbon you're using as a terrible human that's out here existing, how dare you be breathing. These things will be used against you in the future if we don't keep these things in check. If we don't make our voices heard, the legislators that know you are not going to control my purchasing ability at the grocery store for my family to feed my kids because I might have said something dissenting against the colostomy bag at the top of the podium right now. That is not an okay situation.
Wait, is that trickle down economics?
That's trickle down economics. That's Bidenomics. That's true Bidenomics right there. God, I love you. I love you.
Oh God, I would apologize for my existence.
That was no.
You
Don't
know
you
what you're
dare.
getting.
Don't you dare.
Joe Rogan. Hail to the biscuit Jesus.
Yeah, man. And whoever said kick him out, get out of here. Unbelievable. CBDCs would be a very red, wet situation if they were forced upon the American public. I guarantee you that. And seeing people like Joe and people like Post Malone come out outwardly against it and be strong about their wording about it means a lot to me, because you know what I went through in panty season, I had to work 3 full-time jobs.
Did you just say panty season?
Panty season. Panty. Like, you know.
Panty,
you know,
I was like, I mean, I guess my whole 20s was.
They tried to take my purchasing power away from my family. They tried to literally.
They didn't try to. They did.
Well, I refused to give up though, and I started my own fencing business. I completely changed I started working in the power industry as security. Started being supplemental for the police department in the summer of love when IFA was burning everything down peacefully, of course. And you know, so I firsthand experienced the strong grip of government control coming over my neck, and it turned a switch on inside of my brain. I had always been just huge about music and, you know, talking about God and singing about God and dropping little nuggets of information into the heavy metal scene. But once that happened in 2020, a switch went off, and I don't think there's any going back from it. Now, I have no problem speaking out against this, and you know, you have to be brave. We see things like what happened yesterday with a 75-year-old man that's crippled that was murdered by government agents over speaking against the current leader of this country. So you're seeing things happen that are very real and very dangerous. And if we allow the CBDC system to roll over us like a fart in the wind, and we just don't mean anything, and they can turn you off with no problem, it's going to get ugly. So you have to be strong. And if you run from the situation, if you're afraid to talk about it, you will only die tired. I will guarantee you that. So I like to see Joe being strong about it. Don't be afraid. Be strong. We have this. I kind of want to check this out. This is pretty amazing. I want to play this. We're going to just take a look at some awesome.
These more NFTs designed by Trump.
Mm-hmm. Who would you choose? Who would you choose?
Ronaldo.
I would not choose the person that chose the music.
Oh, Jackie.
I'd choose Kim Jong-un.
This is just.
I feel like he'd have ultimate control.
I would probably have to go with Trump. I'm sorry. You know, it's just, I mean, I think he's just the greatest fighter ever. But
have you seen Jackie Chan, who's literally one of the most legendary drunken boxers?
Yeah, but if Trump is given Mortal Kombat skills, he's going to like have some kind of toupee strangle.
He's going to grab him by the, wait, what?
Oh my God. I just want to pick, let me know in the chat, who would you choose as your fighter? I just found that pretty entertaining. I watched that
Somebody
this morning.
said Kelly is a Dem. I am not a Dem, and I'm also not a Republican. I'm my own man who thinks that there's pretty sensible things that are, I think a lot of people, I've talked to people very far right that don't realize that they're Democrat. And I've talked to people very far left that don't realize they're Republican. I think most people, they get too tribal, just like here in crypto. In reality, I just think I'm just a sensible person that very fiscally conservative, while also thinking people do deserve a little bit of humanity. But what's a man, what's a woman?
That's a fair take.
It's a man and a woman.
Oh my God, we ran over time. We were having a good time in here. My God.
So fun.
All right. Well, I guess I'll leave it at that. We'll leave these other stories for tomorrow. I'm just going to say something else. Oh yeah. Make sure to go to
hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding that bell.
Check
baby.
this out. We're selling these, the Druth, potentially dangerous. And make sure to go grab one at Hit Merch. I think we got a few left and they've been going really well. So I really appreciate all the support everyone has shown. It's because of you out in the ethos, in the world, that make everything that we do here possible. And for that, I am forever grateful to have a place to speak to people in a large stage. I still do music. Yeah, God, I'm forgetting everything. Give me the close-up shot. I am playing a show as well. I'll be screaming about tyranny and sheep at Denver in August 19th this month. So come and see me if you're in Colorado. Flood of Souls playing August 19th in Denver. Hope to see you there. Thank you very much for joining us. We had Tim coming from the crew, man. It was awesome having you in there. I always love having people from, the basement or the Bit Squad coming in here and let us know their story. It's always nice to hear people escaping the slow decline of the US dollar. So thank you for the chat, the basement. We got Manawak, Sofa King, Deucey Does, Ryan Anderson, Bro Tip, C90 FTW, G Faris, Ninja Glock, More Heart, De Hal, Jesus Coronado, Granny's Garden, Crimson Caravan Company, Free Kip, more, maybe a Band-Aid. Until next time, we bid you adieu.
Adios, muchachos.